Period. It's
Yeah,
just
no,
not. Nope.
no, it's not fast enough.
No.
And most people are playing with artifact hate right now. So
Yes.
I mean, yeah, Nexus doesn't do anything to it, and the only thing that
It
really
like the
pops is
best artifacts
Poltergeist.
in this set are actually immune to Nexus and remote access, so that is a really interesting thing, which we're gonna talk about once we get to Untamed. But
Mhm.
so overall, I don't know. Logos, I think, is gonna be a set third, but it really depends on if there's anything else that's moving on top. Actually, I think there is. I actually I see the two that I put there because we're about to talk about the next one.
Mars.
Mars. Hey guys, all you people that hate Mars and say that Mars sucks and say that some people give them a hard time, I think Mars is going to be seed 1 or seed 2
Yeah, it's kind of where
in
I'm at too.
AOA for a few reasons. There's a lot of stuff in here that's still a little wishy-washy and hard to use, so that's still going to be a thing. So if you have problems like executing board priorities, like that's still going to be something you're going to have to address to play Mars well, because they still have a lot of little creatures, but they have some amazing things coming out. We've already talked about a few of them when we did our last cast, but Martian Generosity, the margins, as we said, Martian Generosity, Seed, Key Abduction, that's going to be a real thing. There's going to be a lot of decks that can do it too. There's another one, the Destroy Them All, destroy an artifact, destroy a creature, destroy an upgrade, which is weird, but say that, hey, it's a thing. Like, that's a legit thing because artifacts are very real in AoA, and they've always been a threat in Coda, not so much anymore. But Mars is going to be here to play. They have some great archiving mechanisms still for anti creatures. The Shard of Hate is probably the worst shard. Just going through it here, they still have Shatterstorm, which is now 100% without debate the best Amber Control card in the game, and that is a big deal.
Yeah, I put Mars at least in the top half.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been having trouble if I bump up Logos to 2 and put Mars at 3.
I think Mars is at 2 for me right now.
Okay, that's fair.
Without having played it, you've played it, I haven't. I think Mars with a very legitimate like Key Abduction is only an uncommon. Like, you're going to get Martian Generosity and 2 Key Abductions in a deck.
Yeah.
There's not, and that's not gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of those. It's not gonna be like, oh, there's 20 of these in the world. Like, there's going to be hundreds of those. Like,
And let me tell you right now, obviously you don't want Mars and Logos together because it causes issues. Because the collector worm is sick.
yes.
He
The
just
Collector Worm is like, if you can get Collector Worm and maybe Brobnar with all, like, Brobnar into the fray, Collector Worm.
he is
I'm
sick.
archiving all your shit. Like,
Yeah.
all of it.
And with that 5 armor, he basically, I mean, he
Mhm.
becomes a lightning rod, but the problem is you got to put so much into him. By the time that you've killed him, he's eaten half the board.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah,
he
I
is
mean, like,
sick.
if you have Into the Fray and your Brobnar set, and you're able to, the Collector Worm's probably living to your next turn, you call in, like, basically he
Oh,
immediately
he's got
eats
5
all the
armor.
he
He
immediately
takes a lot of
yeah.
damage.
Well, he can just, the thing about the way the game's structured though, like, there's almost every deck has elusive creatures. So, like, your next turn when you play Into the Fray, it's, fight. You can ready and fight after each fight effect
And he
as
doesn't
the
even
Collector
have to
Worm.
do damage to put it in his art and put it in your
Mhm.
archives. God,
Yeah, like, you
it's
can
sick.
archive all of their elusive creatures, then start archiving all of their ones until you fight 6 times.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
that's
it's
gonna be so
gross. I'll
gross.
tell you that. It's pretty gross and a lot of fun. Um
And then they, even if you really want to insult them later in the game, destructive analysis is just funny. Deal 2 damage to a creature, you may purge any number of cards from your archives to deal 2 more damage to the same creature. So you're, okay, I just ate all your stuff. Now I'm gonna purge it all and kill something big. Ha ha. Like, whew, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have fun with Project ZXY and Collector Worm because I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think they've exactly panned out how that's gonna work yet. Because he says you
Oh yeah,
can,
yeah.
if you reap with them, you can play an archive card as if it were from your hand and have the active house.
That will be interesting.
So do I get to
So I
play
actually
him?
think Well, no, because no, they addressed it. Collector Worm says if it leaves your arc, doesn't it say the same thing as
It
they all
does say
say?
if it leaves my archives.
That's leaving your archives.
So
They
at
they
any
addressed it.
t- it's leaving my archives happens before the play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well,
Yeah, so I think that one's already addressed in the way they worded it.
because I could say I'm the active player. I say play. I could chain of command, yada yada. But either way,
Mhm.
let's move into Sanctum.
So this is the one that I've probably looked at the least. I think it moves out of the basement for me. I think it moves ahead of Disc for sure. So I don't know if I'm actually pushing Disc down to the bottom, which would be crazy.
I already know
Um,
who the basement dweller is gonna be.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I kind of already know. Sanctum felt good. I'll tell you, playing a lot of Sanctum. Sanctum has a lot of steel.
Oh, I know who you say is in the basement. That's real funny.
Yeah, isn't it?
Uh,
But a lot of steel. People like Sir Maros is a lot of fun. He's tough to kill.
mhm.
Who is it? Marek the Marked?
Yep,
Who, yeah,
he's a good
he
one.
captures one every time he
Yep.
prevents damage.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
then guess what? Not save the week. I'm thinking of the card that gives him +1 armor. I'm drawing a blank on it, but there's fun things to do with him.
Yeah.
And then Golden Aura is absolutely out of its mind sick.
Mhm. Yep.
You got you have Adube the Grim, who is a lot of fun to just play
Oh,
with.
I do love Barrister Joya.
Yeah,
Barrister Joya's enemy creatures cannot reap. Okay, there's a lot of like repay, but most of that's easy to get off the board. This is a 5 power, 1 armor dude. Like
yeah, just you're not allowed to rape.
you can't reap. Here's my 5/1. It might have other shenanigans on it. It might have more power. It might have all sorts of things going on because it's still Sanctum,
Yeah,
right?
Equalize is fun, where basically you get to rearrange how all the captured ember is stored.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think Sanctum's number 4, maybe number 5. I mean, I gotta put it.
I
I'll,
could
I'll go
see
conservative and
somewhere
put
in
it at
there.
5.
I could see it being somewhere in 4 and 5 range. The one thing that I don't think it's here, I don't believe Dorsip is in cycle. So no, it's not in cycle. So that makes this still have some. Oh, Doorstep is in cycle. There it is. I found it.
Is it?
Okay, so Doorstep is still in cycle. So
Have to.
actually, yeah, no, I think it's definitely a 4. And before we move on from it, I think my favorite card in it, I always just call it the Law. It's sad that I already have nicknames for cards that I haven't played or seen, but the Law, in my opinion, because that's its type, that's its trait.
Huh.
So card 261, Proclamation 346E. So let's talk about this card for a moment before we
Yeah.
go on. This card is an artifact. It's another one of those static artifacts I mentioned that are all just amazing in AoA. It says while your opponent does not control creatures from 3 different houses, their keys cost 2 more amber.
Yeah, that hurts,
That
don't it?
is pretty much all the time against a lot of Coda decks. Like that might be a little bit different AoA because board is more important for
Yep.
AoA decks in general. But if you're playing against the Coda deck, in most cases, if you're facing a top competitive deck, as far as what we've seen in the meta, this basically reads your opponent's keys cost 2 more.
Yeah, your opponent's keys cost 8.
Yeah, your keys cost 8. You know why? Because probably one of your houses is shadows or one of your houses logos, and you might actually have both of those houses. And I'm gonna very easily kill all of those creatures that exist in those 2 houses.
Yes, sir.
So this and there's very few decks that you're gonna run up against in Coda that will not have at least shadows or logos in their deck. So this is a very real card versus Coda, and it could be just as good against AoA. We don't know yet. I have to play it to know that part of that. But that is a crazy good bump to Sanctum.
Yeah, I don't think I
When
got one of those, so I don't think I got to play with it. I'd have to double check.
yeah.
I know I got a deck with 3 Hedron walls, and that was just stupid.
What
But
is that a
gives up
thing?
gives all, what does it do? It gives everything +2 power or something like that.
I haven't.
All friendly flank creatures get +2 power.
Nice.
So yeah,
It's
now
like
you've
way
got
better
these.
than Halakor ever was.
Yeah, so there's another guy in there who does, while he's on